Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and this amazing video. I am Aditya. In the last video, we created a Nuxt app where we took some input parameters for a car and we just predicted in which region the car should be made. So in this case, we predicted that like the predictions are coming that this should be done in the Europe. So in the previous video, I use Fast API at the backend and Nuxt at the front end. But in this video, we will be using Laravel at the backend and we will be using this interesting library Rubix ML. So without any further ado, let's begin. So let's see exactly what is Rubix ML. So it's a machine learning library in PHP. So generally some people would say like machine learning, no PHP, only Python or R. But if you want to deal with say some like pretty good level of machine learning, and if you already have your setup in PHP, especially in Laravel or some other framework, then you can use this library. Like, of course, but if you are doing some complicated stuff, then my recommendation would be, or my preference would be, to go with the Python API and have it integrated with your Laravel project or any PHP project. But if it's something of an average to good case scenario, then I would just go with this Rubix ML. So it's just my personal preference. Of course, it depends on your project preference, on your preferences, on your resources, and your team preferences. So there are very like various factors. So let's now see Rubix ML. So as I said, it's a machine learning library and it says you to have this tensor extension. So it just accelerates the algorithm for Rubix ML. So we won't be installing this one for now, but it's pretty good if you're dealing with some complicated stuff and if you want some performance efficiency in your Rubix ML. So let's go back again over here again. So let's see what exactly it does. Okay. So if you're new to machine learning, I would first recommend you to have some videos seen on YouTube about the base of machine learning or the basics of it, and also like just some basic classification algorithms. Just have a look on it. If you already have seen those, then definitely like you'll understand what I will say further. So I'll try to explain it as well, like because I don't want to dwell much in the theory. I just want to focus for this video more on the coding part. So I'll try to be as like I'll try to keep that balance from my side. So we have in classification algorithms, or in mostly any machine learning algorithms, we have our samples, and in classification algorithm only we have our targets, which are nothing but the labels. So the samples are nothing but, you can call it as a data frames or 2D array, in which you have set of inputs, and each row, so this is one row, this is one row, this is one row, each row has a target associated with it. This data is your historic data, or you can collect it on fly and have it as an historic data as well. So once you have this data, it's generally in CSV file. You use this data to create your machine learning model. So it can be a classification model, a regression model, anything. So we will be using the classification model and we'll be using the random forest algorithm. So after you have this in Rubix ML, there is something known as labeled. So once we come to this section, I will show you like what is labeled or what exactly it is doing. So for now, it is just creating a data set from our samples and labels, in this case the targets. So once we have our data set, we use that to train our algorithm. So here we first create the class of that algorithm. So as here it is example of KNN, so K nearest neighbor is a classification algorithm again, and also you can use it in regression. And then you train it using this data set. So once you train your estimator, the next thing to do is do predictions. So you already have some input samples, or you can create your own samples, and it's again a data frame, which is a 2D array, and you just pass it to your predictor and once that's done, it will just give you the predictions. Super simple. And you can also like have it a test like the accuracy score, like how accurate is your algorithm and etc. So this is pretty straightforward and like it's pretty easy to use. So let's use it for our scenario. So let's go back to our project over here. So first let's create in api.php, let's create an endpoint. So I'm going to say route. So it is going to be a post request, but I'll create it as a get request for now because we'll be using the browser to just test our data. So we will say predict Of course, you can also wrap it with Sanctum to make it more secure, which will be over here, which I already have certain URLs, so the endpoints in the Sanctum, but I'll keep it like not in Sanctum because the video will get very lengthy in explaining the Sanctum and everything. But of course, you could check my video on Sanctum. I have done the plain JavaScript login with Laravel. I'll put the link in the description as well, so please do check it. So once we have this predict, the next thing we need to do is have a prediction controller, so which we already have it over here, and we'll just call it over here. So I'll say prediction controller class, and in that I want to have the predict function. Okay, so once we have this, so generally I prefer to have the the lengthy codes, or you could say the code which you could reuse in separate files so that your controller is short and clean. For example, this one, the Google Sheet services. So as you could see, I have a Google Sheets controller. Also, if you haven't seen this video, please do check out this video as well. I'll put the link in the description about connecting the Google Sheets with your Laravel. You can just have your data real-time sent to your Google Sheets. So I just used it in a controller like this, and I have a separate class over here, or you could say a separate file where I have all the functionality of Google Sheets. So we will do the same thing. So I'll go over here and create a separate service. So I will say new file, and I will say random forest because we are using random forest algorithm. So random forest prediction.php. Now we will start it with this php, and then class random forest prediction. Doesn't extend anything, and we need to give a namespace as I have given it over here. So once we import the class or import this file anywhere or use it, then our controller or the file or that which is importing this knows that where to find this random forest prediction. So we'll use the namespace for this, which is nothing but the app http services. So I'll just close this. Yeah, app http services. So once that's done, now I'll be using this object-oriented approach to this. So I'll be having certain variables. So my first variable will be I can take the file name as well as a variable. The input frame, like the input 2D array that we want to make predictions for, samples, and the targets or the labels. Then we will need a constructor, public function construct, and in that we will just pass it the same thing till here, because the samples and targets will be creating in our code, but this file name and input will come from the controller. So I will say this file name equal to $file name, and this input equal to $input. So once we have this, the next thing we need to do is call the function in the prediction controller. So what I'm going to do, I will write a function over here which will be public function predict result. Okay, and in that predict result, we don't need to pass anything because we will be passing it in our constructor. So let's go over here now and let's create the instance of this random forest prediction. This is not our this is our own random forest prediction class. This is not from the Rubix ML. So let's go over here and say $random forest response, or let's do that like random forest result equal to I can do it in one line by saying something like this: random forest prediction. The first name is our file name, which is in our public folder, which is cast.csv that I got from Kaggle. You can also get several files for decision tree algorithm from Kaggle. So I got this one from Kaggle. As you could see, there is our header, which is nothing but, so we won't be considering the year column. So we'll be considering all this as our inputs, and this brand is our label. So let's go over here and say the file name as cars.csv, and the other parameter would be our input, which would be our data frame. So I'll give that data frame to be just the first row, for now, and then we will substitute it with our actual input that will come from Nuxt. So once we have this, the next thing we need to do is call the function, which is nothing but this predict result. So let's go over here and predict result. Okay, so now the flow would be, oh, so I guess I missed something. So this is for this, this is for this, this is for this, and yeah, a big mistake. This should be in the function. So I should do something like public function predict request $request and here. So that's great. So once we have this, now the flow would be, once we initiate the object of this random forest, it will assign this value. So the file name and input will go that we are passing it from here. So these things. And as Laravel knows that if you just pass the file name, it knows it to search it in the public folder. So it will automatically search in the public folder. So after the CSV file is the file name and input frame is assigned, then we are calling the predict result. So in this predict result, we will need to call a function to read file, which will create our samples and targets. Okay, so let's go over here and do this read file. And now let's go over here and create that function, public function read file. Read file, and here we will create our sample and targets array. So by default it's going to be an array. Over here I can assign it as an array like this, and now let's go over here and create it. So I will be using fgetcsv to read the CSV file. So how it works is, first you need to open a file and then pass it into the fgetcsv. So what I'm going to do, I will say $file equal to fopen and the name of our file, which is nothing but this file name with the read permission. Okay, so once I open the file, I will just go over here, and if I say if the file exists or it's opened correctly, etc., all those stuff. So file not equal to false, so everything is correct. Then we will start our while loop and read the CSV file. So I will say while, and then I will take a variable data, which is equal to fgetcsv, and in this fgetcsv I need to pass this handler, which is nothing but this file. So I'll say $file, and as long as we are in the file or reading the file, so this means as long as this is true, then just keep on repeating the things in this while loop. So let's now take a num equal to count of $data. So once we take this num count of data, now let's run this piece of code first and let's see what we are getting. So I'll say I just want to print this $num in our log file. So you can use the info function of Laravel. You could just like, it automatically prints your result, whatever you pass here, into the log of your Laravel. So let's start the server. So for that, I already have the fast API server running, so I'll just stop it first, because fast API and Laravel server, in my case, they both run on 8000. So I just need to make sure that one of them is stopped to use the other one. So once that's done, let's go over here and say php artisan serve. Our server is running. Now let's go to our browser and test our URLs. So if I go over here, and so it was from the fast API. Now if I just go, okay, random forest prediction not found. So we didn't import the class. So let's go over here, and in the prediction, yes, we didn't import it. So let's import the class. It's imported now. Now let's go. So count must be of type countable array boolean given. Okay, let's see what's wrong over here. So we have given over here data. So we'll say count data. Okay. Right, so we need to wrap this. So now if I run this, reload, and now we are having our file. So we just need to make sure over here that we are wrapping it. So don't need a delimiter if it's comma separated. So we just need to wrap it like this, else it will take it as a boolean value. So once this is done, the next thing we need to do is okay, so let's go back over here and let's do $num equal to count of $data. And if I then again go over here and do $num, now you will see that it will print 8. Why it will print 8? I'll just show you. So if I go over here it's saying 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, because we have 8 columns and fgetcsv reads the file from left to right and top to bottom. So it starts from here, goes all the way till here, and then goes like this. So what we are going to do, we just need to make sure that we are not taking this first row and we are not taking this year, because in our input we don't need that. We want to train our input based on these parameters because we are not considering year in our input as well, like when we are passing it from the Nuxt. So let's go over here and let's do that. So let's take a variable over here. Let's take row equal to 1. So we'll start from the row 1 and we will say here if $row not equal to 1, because we don't want the first row, we want from the second row. And then we will take this num and then we will say for $c, which is the column, equal to 0, $c less than num, $num actually, and $c plus plus. Once that's done, we just need to now create our samples over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'll be taking a temp array, because if you see, if I go back again over here to our Rubix ML, if you see, our samples are a 2D array, or they are in a data frame form, so it's like a 2D array. So we just need to make sure that we are taking the array of arrays. So let's go back again over here and let's create a variable here with temp array. So I'll say $temp array. It's just an empty array for now and we will use this. So what I'm gonna do, I just need to make sure that in my input these two are not there. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So the column number 6 and 7 are not in my input. So what I'm gonna do, I will say if $c less than 6, because we don't want 6 and 7. And then I will just say array push $temp array and whatever we are getting, so $data c. Okay, then we just need to make sure else if $c equal to 7, because now we will also create our targets. So the last column is our target. So we will say if it's the last column, then array push, as the target is nothing but the one-dimensional array or just a single array. So I'll say target equal to targets and $data $c. Simple. As our targets are getting ready over here, we just need to make sure that we are preparing our samples as well. So outside of this for loop, once all the columns are inserted in this temp array, like the required columns actually, once they are inserted, we are gonna say array push this samples will get the value of, so this is our samples, we will be pushing this $temp array. And then we just need to make sure that we are erasing the temp array or setting it back to blank. So now let's check if we are getting our targets and sample correctly. So what I'm going to do, completed actually, and we will say info, and let's do this sample of 0th. Let's see the 0th row, and also simultaneously or in parallel cd, not in parallel actually, after that let's see target of 0. And here we will just remove any info. No, there's anything over here. Let's clean it up and let's run the code again. So if I go over here, run it again, undefined array key 0, so something is getting wrong over here. So if I go back again over here to our random forest, so it says the list of samples. Oh, 0 is not okay. So let's see what's happening here. So we are pushing it over here. It's not getting over nowhere because we are not incrementing our row. So we need to make sure after each iteration we are incrementing our row, else the row will be always row number 1. And now I can then have it over here, so I can say I can see the results now. Also, we need to make sure that we are closing the file after the reading is done. So I'm going to say fclose and file. So let's go here, let's clean it up again, and let's run it again. So if I reload this, nothing is coming over, that means great. And here it is. So our samples and targets, they are getting separated and arranged properly. So once that's done, let's go with the training and prediction. So here we need to say or create the random forest algorithm class. So if I go back again to Rubix ML in the random forest, so let's first briefly see what is random forest. So if you already know the concept of decision tree, it's nothing but a simple classification tree where you have nodes. So it's like a tree-like structure. So there is a root node. It starts and branch out to the children, and then there are the end nodes. So these end nodes, like the last nodes in that tree, are nothing but the labels. So here is the image that I got from internet. So this image, as you could see, like this is an example of decision tree. So here these circular nodes, or these nodes in oval shaped, they are decision nodes. This none and soft and hard, they are nothing but the leaf nodes or the terminal nodes. These nodes are nothing but our labels or classes or targets, and these are the decision nodes. So random forest is nothing but collection of all these decision trees. So each node in the random forest will be the decision tree. And what it does, it takes it like when all the decision trees in that forest predicts their score, it takes the most or the maximum maximum class which has maximum prediction as a winner, and it says, okay, this is your final result. So a simple day-to-day example would be, suppose if you're going on a trip and you want to ask your friends where to go. Suppose 5 of your friends say that you might want to go to maybe Italy, and 2 of your friends say you might want to go to Greece. So your 3 friends says Italy, that's why you are like maybe choosing it because the majority of them are saying Italy. So that's how random forest does. So it uses all these trees, and whichever gets the maximum result, whichever class gets the maximum vote, is selected as a winner. Once that's done, once that's it, we could use now this random forest class of Rubix ML. So what is it doing is like it's taking first as the decision, like the classification tree. So what should be, because if you see, the random forest is nothing but the decision tree in itself, which each node is a decision tree again. So what should be the depth of this tree? So I will say the depth should be the 10, like the maximum, like the 10 should be the base learner. So next is nothing but the estimators. So how many trees you want to train? So I will say like go till maximum number is 10, 300 in this case. Then is the ratio, and then the balanced. So let's go back again over here, and I will say dollar. I will give model as a variable, and then I will say random forest, or rather it should be new random forest. New random forest. Again, you can do all these checks over here, making sure that the file is read properly, and then go to the random forest algorithm so that it works accurately. But I'm not going to do any checks or validations in this. Of course, we'll do it on the input side, but not over here. So here, I'll import this class. So that's imported from Rubix ML. And then we will need a classifier. So it's a new classifier. Or is it new classifier, classification tree? Actually, not classifier, should be a classification tree. So classification tree with depth of 10. So let's take that as well, and then we will need the estimator. So we'll say 300, the ratio of 0.1, and the balance should be false. If I have done this correctly, let me double check. So it should be true. Yes, I knew I'll make a mistake, so it should be true. Okay, so once this is done, now next thing to do is we have our data set. We need to just make it in a proper data set format to use it over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just comment this line for now, and let's first see how our data set looks. So I'll say data set equal to new labeled. This will be our samples and target. And let's print this data set. Let's see what we get. So if I go back again over here and say info dollar data set, and let's see what we are getting. So if I go over here, remove this, let's rerun the code, or let's refresh this. So Rubix label could not be converted to string. Okay, so what we will do is we will dd it. So it's a diagram. So now if I reload this, so you will see there are labels. So these are all the labels, and here we have our samples. So generally these labels are encoded to numeric format. So I believe that Rubix ML is doing the same thing over here. So this alphabetical labels are getting some numbers, like US is getting 0, Europe 1, Japan 2, something like that, and it's converted behind the scenes. So I believe that actually, or I guess that actually, believe would be too much trust in Rubix ML, but I'll just say, I'll guess that that's what Rubix ML is doing behind the scene, but actually that's how it is done. So let me know in the comment section if I'm going wrong somewhere. So once we have our data set, the next thing we need to do is train this data set. So say model train $data set. And once we train this data set, the next thing we need to do is do the prediction. So I'll say $model predict, and this time we will be using our input frame, which is this one. Input. Open like this, and we will just return this. Okay, so now if I go back to my prediction controller, I just need to print, or do this print r, and let's do random forest result, and let's see what we are getting for this. So here we don't need year, so we just need to year and for this we should get US. So let's see if we are getting US. Yes, random forest predict must be of type array. Okay, so something has went wrong over here, so let's go back again over here, and we need to create our input data set. So it's a bit different than in Python, because in Python you can straight away like use the data frame. Just like I need to convert it into an unlabeled thing in this, and then it will do the like the data set for predicting in the correct format by itself. So let Rubix handle this, in other words. So unlabeled, and here just give our this dot input, and then just need to make sure that we are passing it over here like this. Now if I run this again, this time it should work. So if I run this, it doesn't, because we didn't import this class. So let's import this, and now this time it should definitely work, and it did. So we got US. So now let's pass this. So why we are getting US? Because even though this is accurate, and you might be thinking that we could just use if and else and just get it like this, but the random forest, if these values are like somewhere else, like if I give 15, let's try that. So let's go over here, and instead of 14, let's do 15, and here let's do maybe instead of 350, let's do 300, and in this case we should still get US. So if I rerun this, we are still getting the US. Why? Because this frame or this inputs, they are closely related to all the inputs which has class US, or it's as good as saying they are getting the maximum, like that input is getting the maximum vote of US, or the class, the maximum vote it's getting is US. So that's why we are getting US for this input set. Now let's use or take data from our Nuxt and use that to do the prediction. So if I go back again over here and just write our validator, so I'll say $validator. So we will be validating our inputs. Validator make, so it will be request all it for now, and the set of our rules. So first would be, so if I go back again over here to my Nuxt code, I'll just copy paste this because this input keys are same for the validation as well over here. So I'll just copy paste it over here, but need to make small changes. So all this should be like this, and this should go off, and this should all go off. Let's remove this, and this. Right. So our rules first would be required because all are required, and I'll be using regex to make sure they are numeric values. So regex. So this start and end 0 to 9. Then it can be any occurrence of this, and I just need to make sure that so there is 0 to 1 occurrence of dot, and then again 0 to 9, and it will go on like that. So let's see if this is correct. So if $validator fails, if this fails, that means it was the regular expression, or maybe some fields were missing. So we'll just pass the message as it is. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do return response JSON, and this is going to be an array with a status of 500, or you could give any status code. I'm just giving 500, and the message, which is nothing but the JSON encoded string of our this. So $validator messages. Okay, if it fails, then it will go over here, else it will just follow our algorithm. So here we will say else, or no need of else actually, we can just say return. Let's copy this line actually like this over here, and instead of message it will be region, instead of 500 it will be 200, and here we will be having this random forest result 0th index value. So that's our region, because if you see over here, this is an array, so 0th index of this is US, and that's our answer. So that's it from the Laravel side. Now let's go to the next Nuxt side and let's see what changes we need to do. I think we are doing something wrong over here. Yes, I guess this is what we are doing wrong. It should be like this. Let's get character. So okay, now let's go to the Nuxt site and let's try this out. So if I go over here, some changes need to be done. So first we need to have API/predict. Then we need to do, because the status is in data now, so we just need to make sure that it's 200 over here, that this is correct. Catch error, instead of this we'll just say request failed, and else if rest.data.status equal to 500, in that case we have a validation error. So I'll just show the validation message as it is. I can put it in the form, so I can put it as a separate error field like this. Of course, like if I want, or if you guys want as well, that's not a problem. But I would recommend you to see this video of this Nuxt with fast API, because I have explained like this form and everything. So it's just a simple form. So I guess that's pretty much for this side. Now let's test this. Okay, so if I go over here and let's do predict. So request fails, failed, actually we failed. We'll check that as well, and we need to make sure that we are doing the course. Yes. So let's go back again over here. Let's make it failed first in Nuxt, and now let's go for the course. So if I go to prediction, here in the course.php, I just need to make sure that I have that URL added as an origin. So we'll just go over here and 3000, and also in our env file. So actually not in env file, but okay, well, let's keep it for that for later. And next thing we need to do is do a post over here, because we are doing post request from Nuxt. So now if I remove this from here, and let's do it. So request fails, server error. Let's see what's the server error. So if I go back again over here and go back all the way till here, it says variable dollar undefined variable request. Oh, okay, that's weird. So okay, because we are typing it weirdly here, that's why it's weird. So we have it now, and let's see again. So yes, we are getting the validation error that MPG field is required and the blah blah blah. So let's do that. And let's see. So vehicles should be manufactured in US. And if I predict, cylinder format is invalid. Okay. So for predict, okay, cylinders format is invalid. Okay, let's go back again here, and I guess there's some problem in the regex. Then this should be okay. So if I go back again, predict, okay, it's still showing me US. That's pretty weird. So let's go back again over here. Right, so everything was correct. The problem, we are getting US because we didn't change anything here. So we need to change this. So what I'm going to do, again another silly mistake. So we will create an array over here. So let's paste this over here in this order. So first is mpg, then the cylinders, then the cubic inches, then the HP, then the weight, and then time to 60. So what I'm going to do, I'll create an input array. And the first is $request mpg $request cylinders $request cubic inches cubic inches, yeah, that's correct. Then $request HP, then we have $request weight, sorry, WEIGT weight, and $request time to 60. So when you have the input frame or the input data set, you need to make sure that you're following the same order that you have it in your CSV file, or the same order that you fed it as an input to your model. So if mpg, cylinders, cubic inches, HP, weight, and time to 60, if that's your order, then your input should be in that order only. So mine is mpg, cylinders, cubic inches, HP, weight, time to 60, and then we will just have it over here, input array, like this. This is not needed, and now we should get the accurate results. So if I go over here, predict, we are getting Europe. Let's try something else. Let's do for Japan. So if I go back again to cars.csv, and let's take this row for Japan. So it's 37.5489. So let's keep it like that, 589, and HP is taken to 62, and the weight is 2050. So let's do it 65, and let's do it 2050. So for this prediction, we should get Japan. So let's see if we're getting Japan. Yes, we got Japan. So as you could see, like, even though it's not the accurate row, but it's the row is that somewhat, like, it says that okay, this should be in Japan. So this is how it works. So this is the a random forest classifier in with Rubix ML in PHP. So that's all from my side. Hope you like this video. If you feel this video is worth sharing with your network, please do share with your network. If you feel that you like this video and it's worth of like, so please hit a thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. So that's all from me for now. Till the next video, goodbye.